Hello there everybody. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use the Elementor Flexbox container to create a website that looks like this. And also, I'm going to show you how you can use ChatGPT along with Midjourney and DALL-E to generate images that look like this. Now, this is a fully responsive website. If I click, for instance, here, I'm taken to the second container and then to the third container. And funnily enough, you can see this image that was generated with Midjourney. And this looks like a metamorphosis between the Cybertruck, Tesla Cybertruck, and Lamborghini. And that's the exact same prompt that I used by using ChatGPT, of course, to write the prompt for me. I only described what I wanted. I described the outcome, the result. And then ChatGPT wrote this for me, and I took it and used Midjourney to create this image. Of course, the images that are created with ChatGPT are pretty small. Unless, of course, you modify their background and you modify them using DALL-E, which also can add to the sides here. And if you look, for instance, this image, this is the original image, and this is the final image. This is the final outcome. You can see that we've added more to the background, and this is also using another artificial intelligence image generation software known as DALL-E. So without further ado, this is the website that we're going to build. Also, there's an interesting thing that you need to know. You're going to learn in this particular lecture how you can create a menu that is suitable for tablets like this one here, and also suitable for mobiles when scrolling. People can see this and they can actually click on this menu, which is much better than a toggle bar or a menu that doesn't make sense. So let's get right to it. And the first thing is first, go to Elementor or go to the dashboard of WordPress. The first thing you want to do is to hover over Elementor, then click on settings right here. Now, once you click on settings, what you want to enable is the Flexbox container. Now, scroll down here and click on features. Then you want to click down below here and activate the Flexbox container by checking active. Now, once you've checked active, click here down below at the bottom and save changes. Now, once you save changes, you're ready to go. You're ready to create your first page using the Flexbox container. Now, mind you, come here to pages and just click on add new. Now, once you click add new, you will create a new page from scratch. And we'll take that page and eventually turn it into something that looks similar to the website you saw at the beginning. Now, this was a website that I was working on. It's a dummy website, but actually now, if you're wondering, we're in the local environment. So I'm not paying for hosting on this thing. You can use the local environment to do this, but you will only need the Elementor plugin. And if you want to get the Elementor Pro plugin, you can get it via a link in the description of this video. But in my case, the Elementor free version would be more than enough to create this particular page together. So let's go ahead and name this particular page. So what are we going to name it? Let's name it Cyber Lambo. Cyber Lambo. Okay. Publish. Make sure to click publish down here and publish again. So now let's wait for it to be published. Perfect. Now the page was published. Click on edit with Elementor, then click on edit with Elementor again. The first thing is first, you'll notice that once we get there, that my screen is kind of dark. Now, some of you might be wondering, how can you get your screen to look dark? Because our screen looks light on this thing when we're using Elementor. Can you help us do this? Now, I can help you. Click here on the sandwich, and then here, click user preferences, and you can change this from light to dark. Make sure that you click update. But another thing you'd notice here is that we have this menu that's bothering us. Now, this menu is from another website that I was building, or from the same website here, but we don't want this menu and this logo to appear. So how do we change this? Click here down below at the wheel, settings, and then scroll down to the bottom. You can see the page layout. Click on the page layout and choose Elementor Canvas. Click on update, and you can see that now we have a brand new blank page, which is exactly what we want. Now, go back to the elements of Elementor, and then the first thing you want to drag is a container. But I don't want to do it this way. I prefer to go to this and click plus. Now here, let me explain this to you. You have two types of containers, one from the top to the bottom and one going from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That's the direction. I'm going to click on the next one, going from the left to the right. And then I want you to go here and add your first image. Now the image is where we're going to add the logo. As it happens, I already have a logo in my media library, and you can actually use Canva to create this logo. But since this is not a course on how to create logos, you can go and watch videos that are useful on the topic. But this is the logo I chose for my particular page here, and it was successfully added. Now that the logo was added, make sure that you update your work every time you take a step. And now, if you please, if you notice that here we have this particular menu. If I click, and normally we should be able to see the menu. Well, I'm going to click on it because I accidentally disabled the menu from mobile. So I'm going to go to responsive here, and I'm not going to hide it on desktop. Update. So now you can see the menu clearly, and once we hover over the menu, there's this little animation that plays around. We can achieve that later. Now I'm going to come here, and I want you to click the elements and then go ahead and search for nav. Just add nav, that's it. And then search for navigation menu, drag and drop it here. Now once you've dragged and dropped your navigation menu, you will have a menu chosen. But this is not how we want the menu to be, is it? So in case you want to choose the menu, come in here and you will find the menus that you have created. Now here, in my case, I have four menus. Yeah, so the footer menu, the main menu, the test menu, and the top navigation. Let me see the top navigation to see how many items are there. Well, the top navigation has plenty of items. So if I click down here, you can see that this is quite big. So I'm going to go for the other menu. I'm going to go for footer menu. And let's just click on style here and let's customize this menu. Now the text color should be, in my opinion, black just for the time being. We can modify it later to be white. And here on hover, you can change the color on hover, but I would not like to. You can add a divider between the items if you want, but I'm not really interested in that. Now the pointer width, the horizontal padding, vertical padding, we can change that stuff as well. I'm going to play a little bit with the horizontal padding because I want them to be a little bit close together. And right here, drop down, I'm going to click on the drop down menu here to see. We don't need it anyway. Toggle button, no problem. Let's go back to content here. Go back to style another time and then click on typography here. Now you can see that the style that I've chosen here is bangers. In case you want to choose a different style, all you'd have to do is to modify it. Now for the case of this demonstration, I'm going to go for Montserrat. Okay, Montserrat. I'm going to go for it just for this particular time. You can modify this weight so you can make it bold, semi-bold. In my opinion, semi-bold is better. And for the other stuff, I'm not going to touch it except for the size. I want to make it 20. Now here, I'm going to update and let's see the changes now. So we have our menu, and I'm pretty sure we can do a better job here by separating them a little bit here. So the horizontal padding, maybe we can play just a little bit on horizontal padding. And the size here, I'm going to change it to 18 instead of 20. That's it. So if I click now, we have a beautiful looking menu. Now, what we want to add again is a new container. A container to contain the image down below. So let's go ahead, click here, go and search for a container from here, and then this container this time, we want it to be in this order from the top to bottom. So I'm going to click on the container, and there you go, we have our container, but we're not done yet. So I want you to go and open up a ChatGPT window. So here we are on ChatGPT. And we're going to ask it something here. We're going to ask it to create a blend between BMW and Mercedes. Now here, I'm going to click New Chat, and you'll notice that I have the ChatGPT Plus because I don't like the ChatGPT, which is not Plus, because they always tell me that they're not that there is a lot of pressure on ChatGPT. So I just decided to buy the $20 subscription plan to get over that, because I use ChatGPT a lot. Now over here, I'm going to say, I want you to create a prompt that mixes, blends the latest Mercedes and BMW and Audi models, not Audi, but Audi models. And I want to use the prompt on Midjourney to generate a picture perfect image that looks like it's going to pop out of the screen, and I want it to be 3D and hyper realistic. This is one big prompt here, so it's going to go ahead and write the prompt for us. Now eventually I'm going to go and open up the Discord for my Midjourney, because I also have the membership on Midjourney, and I use the Discord, the local Discord on my computer. And you can see here that it is still writing the prompt. Here are some other images that I've imagined, or that Midjourney has imagined, not me. But you can see there that I've been playing around with this since the morning here. And so I'm going to go and take my prompt. Now here, this is the prompt. This is the one. I'm just going to take it. I'm going to go back to Midjourney here and /imagine. Now, if you don't want to do this, you can actually not do this. You can bypass this, and you can go to platforms or places like Canva to download your stock photo image. Now I'm going to enter this, and in case you want to add a image using Canva here, there are plenty of Canva images that you can try. Now in this case, let me show you how. Now you can come here to Canva, click create a design, and then choose your size. Let's say that you want to choose a size of 1400 by 650. And now you have your image, which is empty, by the way. So I'm going to go here to elements, and you can search for any particular car you like. You can search for BMW, for instance. Let's say you want to have an image of a BMW, and then come over here to photos, and you have all images of BMW. Let's say that you've liked this one. You can click set image as background and download this, but first off, I'm going to move this to the top a little bit, and you can download this and maybe use it. So I think I'm going to use this maybe in this particular tutorial, but seeing this, I don't really think I'm going to. Look at the quality of these images generated with Midjourney. So I'm going to go and upscale these images here. I'm going to upscale the first image, and I'm going to ask it to create a variation of this and this and this. So I'm going to ask it to create variations from these. Submit each time, and then V4, and then submit. You can see that these images are out of the box. And so now I'm going to go ahead and wait for my upscale for this particular first image here that we're going to use on our website. Now the first image looks awesome. It really does look like a blend of BMW and Audi, and so I think these big brands now, they don't really need designers anymore. They can use AI to do design for them. All right, so we have our first image, which looks lovely. So I'm going to take this image and I'm going to open link. Okay, so I'm going to open the link. I'm going to go ahead and just download this image as. And let me tell you what you can do with this image, because now that you see this image, it looks fine the way it is, but it's still missing the left-hand side and the right-hand side. We need more detail here. So I'm going to go to another tool known as DALL-E, which is created by OpenAI, the same company that created ChatGPT. And I'm going to go and upload this Mercedes, BMW, Audi mix image. So I'm going to go here to downloads, and this is my futuristic car image. I'm going to skip cropping here, place down here, and I can just take this generation frame, put it here. and I can give it a word here. I'm going to say background, and that's it, and generate. So now it's going to go ahead and generate the missing part on this image, and I'm going to do the same thing for the other parts as well. All right, so you can see that we have 4 variations. I'm going to choose one that I like best. I think the first one does well. I'm going to take another generation frame, and this time I'm going to put it down here. Maybe move it just a little bit here, and that's it. Generate. And you can see how this looks like, but I'm going to go for particularly other one. Now here they've added a text. I don't want text. So I'm going to cancel this, and I'm going to come here and say no text. We don't want text to be generated with the image, and I'm going to generate another iteration. And you can see that we have a generation here. We have this one, we have this one, and I think the first one will do. So I'm going to accept the first one. So now I have my image. I can just come in here, download my image, and I'll go straight to Canva here because I want to redimension my image according to my own specifications. So I'm going to come here to Canva. I have this window opened, which is already 1400 by 500 by 650. I'm going to go ahead and open up a new one, 1400 by 650. That's what I'm looking for. And we're going to upload our image, and I'm just going to do a little bit of edits on the image to make it look better. I'm going to come in here, upload my files, and then down here I'm going to just drag and drop my file, right, this one. That's it. There you go. So we have the image being currently uploaded, and that's it. So I'm going to click on my image. The image is loaded. I'm going to set it up as background, and I'm going to click on my image, edit. I'm going to give it more contrast and just a little bit of brightness here and a little bit of saturation. So I'm going to name it Merce BMW Audi 1. And let's download this image. Download as a PNG. Let me come back to my website here. Let's go back over here and click here. Click on your container. And then you want to go to style. And you can see right away that you have here background type. Click on classic and choose the image. I'm going to upload the image from my computer since I've just downloaded it and it doesn't exist in my media library. So I'm going to come here to downloads, and let me just take my good looking hero image. And by the way, that's what we call it, a hero image. Any image that you use in the background of a website is called a hero image, especially the first one that appears after the menu. So I'm going to insert my image now, but the thing is we still can't see it entirely. If you just look, it looks tiny. And so I'm going to come here and keep it at full size, and then the position here I'm going to center it, center, repeat, no repeat, and then click on size, cover. Let's go back to layout, and then here choose minimum height and just play around with the minimum height. Now in this case I'm going to make it 650 because that's exactly the entire size of the image. You can make it bigger if you want, in which case you can see that the car is gonna be the dominant part of the image. Now here the width is 1200. I'm gonna make it 1400, and that's it. So we have our image, update. So now what's left to do is to add the rest of the stuff here. We're gonna add a heading, a text editor, and 2 buttons. So let's go ahead and start off with the heading first. I'm going to click here, but first off, before adding a heading, click here, or let's add a container first. I'm going to take a container, put it down here. So we have our first container now, and I want you to take that container, click on it, and then here, space between, center to the bottom, like that, and let's see, end, center. Let me click down here and just go to the navigator and check something here. I'm going to click on this container down here, center, and that's it. So we have centered it. because this container is inside of another container. So you have to go to the first container, the parent container, and make it and center the content inside of it. So now we have our container here. I'm going to go ahead and add a heading. I'm going to take a heading, put it down here. Now you can see that the style here is bangers. So I'm going to add something similar to this: experience speed, experience next level, hybrid speed of light, maybe something like that, why not? And over here you can change this to H1 if you want to make it bigger. I'm just going to make it H2. You can center the content. Let's go to style here. We can change the typography here, change the color. I think a kind of maybe green color would do. Let's choose a green color. Right, come in here again, click the green color until we're satisfied with it. And then here, as far as the typography is concerned, I'm going to change it to Montserrat. Montserrat. Now Montserrat doesn't really look that good, so perhaps I'm just gonna go with bangers anyways. Bangers looks cooler, so I'm gonna go for bangers, and here make it medium size, and here the line height, just keep it as it is. Maybe I can space a little bit between the words like that, and update. So now we have our first heading. Now I can make it just a little bit bigger because it's true that it's really small. So I'm going to click on it again, go to style here, typography, and then here I'm going to give it a size of maybe 30 or something. 30 is not big, so maybe 36. That sounds cool. So I'm going to go now, click here, and add a text editor just underneath this, and I'm going to say something now such as the best car ever created in history of mankind, because that's true, because this car is not real. So I'm going to click and select my text here, go to text color, change it to white. We can come to style here, typography. We can change this to maybe 22, something like that. Here the weight, let's keep it medium, and that's it. Maybe we can add a little bit of space between the text here, word spacing. That's it. Okay. So now what's next is to add the buttons. So let's go ahead. I'm going to click down here, and let me go to the first button. Let's add our first button just here. But first of all, in order not to fall to this trap, I'm going to take a container and place it down at the bottom here. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my button and put it here. So we have our first button. Let's go ahead and style the first button. But first of all here, we're going to have to say something like order now. You can link the button to whatever you want. Order now. So we have the button. Don't center it yet. And then go ahead and click here on style. And then let's go to the background color of the button. I'm going to change it to green. Now, if you want the exact same color that you've used here, you can click on this button, click on the color, and just copy the hex code, and then come here, click again on the button, click here again, and change the color, and now the color will match. Now over here, you can change the typography of the button if you want, so in which case, if you want to make it bangers as well, you can do that. So I'm going to make it bangers. Now here, medium, the size, I'm going to try with 2022, that looks perfect. And I'm going to give it a border radius of 5, and here there is no border. So now as far as the padding is concerned, I'm going to unlink values together, give it a 10 padding at the top, 10 padding at the bottom, and then down here 20, and then 20 from here. Let's see how this looks. It doesn't really look that good to me, so maybe I'm going to give it a 70, and then a 70, and then let's try with this, perhaps a 7, and another 7, like so. I think this one looks cooler. Update. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate the very same button, click on it, duplicate, but you can see that the button was added underneath. So now let me first of all go ahead and change this button to test drive instead of order now, and change the color to red. Maybe the red doesn't really do well after all, so let's just not the text color. I've actually changed the text color, so I'm gonna go back here. I'm gonna click again here. I want to change the background color. Now the background color here, let's go to extreme red, like this one, and that's it. So we have the button. So now I'm going to click here, click on edit container, click here. So now you can see the buttons were placed next to each other's, center and center. So now everything looks perfect. Now I'm going to click on update, and then I want you to do something here, because we want this to look like this. When you click, we want the logo and we want the menu to be part of the picture. So how do we do that? Well, I want you to click here on this element, or if you want, you can click on the second one and go to advanced here, uncheck this box, and let's add a negative margin. Now let's add a negative margin. But first off, you can see that as we do that, the top elements are disappearing, especially the logo. The logo is disappearing. So how do we solve this issue? Let's get this back to 0 and click on the first container, go to advanced, and then here there's something called the Z index. Add a 10 value to it, update, and this should solve the issue. So I'm going to click on the container now. I'm going to go to margin. They're already unlinked, and I'm just going to go ahead, maybe try with -60. Now -60 does not really look that cool. And yeah, so maybe let's just -70, -75. And you can see that the logo disappeared. Now the reason why the logo disappeared is because the logo is black. Now in this case, we need a white logo. So how do we solve this issue? I can solve it right away. But first of all, let's click on this menu here and let's make it white. I'm going to go and style my menu, make it white. Maybe let's make it in bangers after all. So I'm going to change the typography to bangers instead of whatever the other color was. Bangers, that's it. And here, what I want to do is I want to add an animation to the menu. Click on the menu again. And then down here, I'm going to go to content, animation pointer, background. So now when people hover over the button, you can see that there is a sort of an animation here. And we can change the color of that animation by coming in here to style and pointer color, whatever pointer color is. Let me just go ahead here, hover, pointer color. We're gonna make it grayish. All right, so let's see. Let's try with a different one. Let's try maybe with a full gray or black. I think this one is cool. Okay, so now we have this particular animation. I'm just gonna make it a little bit transparent. I think this will do now. And update. So now let's go ahead and fix the logo. We have a logo to fix. So I'm gonna go to Canva and create a new design from scratch. I'm gonna have to design my logo again. I'm gonna click on custom size here. I'm gonna choose 350 by 50 pixels. Looks weird, but this is how I want my logo to be. And let's go ahead and look for some logos here. Let's look for car logo. All right, so we're gonna have some logos here that are, this one looks pretty good to me. The only thing is that we're gonna have to change this to white. Even though it doesn't really appear, but this is it. So I'm gonna make it this size. I'm gonna change its color again. Click, change it to this color just so we can see how this looks like, and then later we're gonna move it back to the other color. And here, we're gonna go ahead and add something else. Let's go and look for some graphics here. Now we have some interesting graphics down here, so I'm gonna go for something not so specific, or I have an idea. Maybe we can add a piece of text, and let's just do it. So I'm gonna go here to text, choose the first one here, and then add something like Caro XWZ, and take this, go to style here, and as usual I'm going to change it to bangers. You can see that the color actually dropped just a little bit, and that's it. So we have our logo. So I'm going to take my logo now and color it in white take this one as well, color it in white. So click, color, change it to white, and let's just download this with a transparent background. Even though it doesn't look like, it doesn't make sense, but you'll see what I'm talking about. So I'm going to come here, click on my image, make sure to click well, and let's just modify this image that doesn't really fit. I'm going to upload my new recently created logo. That's it. I'm going to go to downloads here, and this is my logo. So I'm going to click on my logo, Caro XWZ, and let's insert media. Okay, so now it's supposed to work wonders. So it works really good. Okay, so that's perfect. You can add a link to your logo if you want to. You can link to this very same page. Now here we have a pretty small problem. I'm going to click here and distance these a little bit. Add a little bit of a distance. I'm going to click, and down here I'm going to come and just go to advanced and just add a little bit of a margin between the bottom and the top. So maybe 30. Let's try with 50 and see what it will give us. We need more, maybe 80, maybe more, 100. All right, so 150 perhaps. Okay, so 150 is good. And that's it. So I'm going to click update. And so now we have created our first page. Now the rest of the pages are not going to be that difficult to create since we have created this first one. Now, first off, what I want you to design is this particular thing here that enables us to move from page to page. How do I design that? Well, the answer is very simple. Again, I'll ask you to go to Canva. Okay, so go to Canva, and in this place here where there is a logo, what we want to do is we want to simply create an icon. But now we want to create an icon that's 50 in height, 1400 in width. So I'm going to close my logo here. I'm going to open up a new Canva tab, create, new design. Now 1400 in width, 50 in height, create a design, and let's go and look for an arrow that points down in the Elements tab of Canva. So here, let's wait for it for a second. Now we are on the Elements side. Let's click on Elements and look for arrow down. That's it. So we have some arrows here. I'm going to expand to see some more. Now most of these are not what we're looking for. Now if you're interested in adding this one, that's fine. Well, maybe we can just add something else. So let's just see what kind of items they have here. All right, so maybe I can click on something a little stylish this time. Maybe this one. Let's try this one. Now, if I zoom in a little bit here, you can see that this is quite small, but that will do it. So I'm going to just make it a little bit bigger, just a little bit bigger, and look for the center. Normally it should be centered. Okay, so it's perfectly centered, and it is black, so I want it to be white. I'm going to click on the white here, change it to white, and let me go now and download it with a transparent background. So I'm going to go here, and I advise you to add another container. So I'm going to come here, click. Let's add another container by clicking here. Add a container that points from the top to the bottom, and then go ahead and fetch an image. So image, drag an image, and then let's go and add our recently created item using Canva. So here, arrow, let's look for the latest downloaded image. Wait for just a second, that's it. And let's add it. So there you go, we have our arrow. Now I'm going to insert the media. And you can see that still, it doesn't really work out as we want it to be. So I'm going to click on my arrow or on my container and go to advanced, unlink these values together, and at the top I'm going to add a minus margin. And I'm going to keep adding more and more and more and more until this invades the other space. And that's it. So you can see now that it works exactly as we want it to be. We have this particular thing pointing down to the bottom. We can add a link to it later. But now what I want you to do is to click on the navigator here. Click navigator and click on this container here, right after the first container, duplicate, and you have a second container. And then what I want you to do is scroll down to the bottom. You can see this container has actually overlapped from the first one to the second one, and we don't want that. So, but first of all, I want you to duplicate this container so that we have two of it, and then take one of them, just one of them, this one for example. I'm going to unclick it, uncheck it, and then click on it and add it just here, right at the top. So now we have the container here where we need it to be. Well, there is a little bit of an issue here. I'm pretty sure we can solve this. I'm going to click on my container here, and let's see if we can change this just a little bit now. Right, so minus, minus, minus. Let's just keep adding more minus. See where this will lead us. Let's just remove this perhaps. And let me click on this element here and just fix my issue. Now the problem is this should appear in Z index. I'm going to remove it for once. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on the container, try again. Instead of duplicating it, I'm going to move it. Let's see now. Alright, so now how do we fix this issue? Well, first of all here, I'm going to click on this container. But before clicking on it, I want you to click on the first one before it, this container here. Click on it. You can see here that we have copied and duplicated the container with the same margin. I'm going to remove it, set it up to 0. And then here, I'm going to just drag and drop this container like this and put it here. So now you can see that we have the container. It's still not really as it should be. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just make sure to click on this container to check if there is no margin there, and then I'm going to take my container like this and just drag and drop it like this. But first off, I gotta have to know which is the container that I need to drag and drop it under. So I'm going to take it like this, like so, and place it. So now it solves the issue, and let's remove this container that doesn't have any necessity there. So you can see that we have created this. Now what I'm going to do is simply duplicate this very simple container and drag and drop it at the very bottom. And so now it should be just fine. So you can see that it works. Now you can come in here, change this image. Now let me see if I have some other renders on Midjourney that we can use. So let's see if we have some other impressive images, or perhaps we can use the very same image here on Canva of the BMW, which I actually liked. So I'm gonna download this, but first off, let's give it just a little bit of contrast here. Just some contrast, a little bit of brightness, and let's download. This BMW really looks like a dream car. So let's download this. Okay, so we have the image in the pocket. I'm going to click on this container and then go to Style and simply come in here and just change this image from this one to what you want it to be. Now I have plenty of images here. Now maybe if you want to use the Lambo, we can leave the Lambo at the end, use it at the end. But here, for this case, I'm going to use the BMW, and the last image of the last section would be the Lambo. Go to Downloads here. That's it. So let's just look for the image. That's it. And we'll insert it. Let's insert this very beautiful looking image here. Insert. Now there is no need to change, except if you want to change stuff, but the image looks perfectly fine here. Now we can do something like maybe remove this gap in between this and this. So I'm going to click this one and see if there is a gap. Normally you click this one here, go to advanced. You can see that there is a margin of 150. Let's change it to 100 maybe, or even less, maybe just 50. That's it. We can do that. Update. Maybe we can change this color to black just to change stuff. Change it to black, or maybe even white. Why not? Update. So now we have our second container. Now we're going to repeat the same operation. We're going to go ahead, click on this container here, and then just duplicate it. And that's it. So we've duplicated this container. Now all we have to do is to click and just remove this image and apply a different image to it. I'm going to choose a different image. I'm going to choose the image of the Lambo from the library. Now we have two Lambos here. I'm not pretty sure which one to use. I'm going to go for this one because it looks pretty awesome. And here we can change this color again to what we want it to be. We can we can leave that and we can change this color. Style, text color, we can make it black. First off, I think I'm going to have to go to content here, select the text, make it black from here. Okay, so we can just click on this and add a little bit more padding, 100 maybe, and that's it. I think that's kind of cool. Maybe even more, maybe 150, 160, maybe 170. Let's try with 200. That's it. I think this is fine. Well, this should be changed. Let's change it to white. And let's change the first color to maybe red. Let's go for red. Update. So now we're going to have to link and interlink these columns or these containers between each others. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to click on this first container, and I want you to go to advanced here and scroll down to the bottom here. And I want you to just click here on CSS ID and give it an ID. So here I'm going to give it section 2, copy, update, then scroll down to the top, click on this element, and then I want you to come here to advanced. Let's check something here. Well, that's good. Click on content, click on link, click on custom URL and add your URL. But first of all, add a hashtag, then your URL. Update. So the same thing I'm going to do for section number 3, advanced here. Scroll down to the bottom and I'm going to add a section 3 ID, copy, update, and then scroll down here. Now you can see that we don't have this particular item here. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a right click, click on the navigator, and then scroll down to the bottom here. Now where is my container? This is the one. I'm going to duplicate it and then just take one of those and drag and drop it between these. All right, so that solves the issue. So this one, I'm going to click on it this time, click on custom URL, add my URL, but make sure to add a hashtag before, update, and that's it. So now let's go ahead and create the menu. But first off, let's give this a look and a moment of appreciation for what we've worked for. Click on preview changes here. And if I go here to the other page or other website that I built, if I make it smaller, you'll be able to see that we have a particular menu that I've shown you at the beginning of this video. And that menu is pretty interesting, especially when somebody is logged using tablet or mobile. Now we want to enable the same feature. We want to enable it for this. This is what I'm talking about here. Now if I click responsive mode, if I click on tablet, a menu is enabled here. We're going to do the same, but first off, let's just give this a look. And I'm assuming that this looks pretty good. Now if I click here, it will take me to the next one, and if I click here, it will take me to the last one. And you can see that this is a pretty good website. Let's go ahead and complete our website. Let's close this window down. Now I want you to click on responsive mode, go to tablet mode, and then here on tablet mode, you're going to notice something. The menu is not there. There is a toggle bar instead of the menu. So click on it, go to advanced, scroll down, click responsive, hide on tablet, and hide on mobile. And don't hide on desktop, keep it on desktop. So that's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and add a button. So I'm going to duplicate this very button here. Duplicate it, right? So wherever, click, and then copy. Normally it should be easy. I should easily be able to duplicate this. So I'm going to click again. Right, so there's a particular issue here. So I'm going to duplicate the other button. And that's it. So I'm going to click on this button now. I'm going to just change a little bit of its features. Go to style here. I'm going to make it smaller. And here as well. I'm going to make it smaller. And I'm going to give it a name of menu instead of test drive. Menu. Let's change the color as well. Go to style here. Color should be the same as this one. So I'm going to click on this one here. Take the color. Copy. Come back here. Click and paste. Paste the color. We can make it a little bit transparent, like so. And we can come in here. I'm going to add just 10 from the side and 10 from the other side. And I can take my menu, my button, drag and drop it. First off, let me just have a perfect vision here and drag and drop it just here. Right after this very menu here. It wasn't successful the first time. Now it was. All right, so now it's good. We have our menu there. And so if I click like this, you can see that my menu button is here. Now there's only one issue is I want to click on my first container here. And I want to go to here. Instead of centering this, I want to center it, but let's see here from end to this. And let me go back to layout here. I want to change some things in the layout. I want them to be spaced between and centered. So now you can see that the button was taken to the extremity. That's good. Now we can add an animation to the button here. I can click on my button, add a little bit of an animation to it. You can also add an animation to the other buttons as well if you want to. I'm going to click on this button, hover, and here the color on hover, I'm going to change it. So I'm going to change it to this kind of color. Now when we hover over it, you can see that it changes the color, kind of gray color, like so. Right, I think that's good. That's it. So we have our menu now, and I want to disable this on desktop. So I'm going to click here, go to advanced, and I don't want people to see this on desktop. I only want them to be able to see it on tablet and on mobile. But first off, how do you go about creating a menu like the one I've shown you previously? So in order to do this, I'm going to go back to Elementor or to the dashboard, and let's use the Elementor templates to create a menu pop-up or a pop-up menu, which is one of the best responsive menus out there. I'm going to click here to go back to the WordPress dashboard, and let's create this amazing pop-up. All right, so this is a very easy process. I want you to scroll down here, and here click on templates or hover templates, click on pop-ups. Now once you click on pop-ups, normally if you haven't yet created a pop-up, you will have the option to create a pop-up. Here in my case, I have to come to the top and add new. Now here I'm going to name my pop-up menu pop-up 3. Create template, and then down here I'm just going to bypass the other stuff. I'm not going to use a template from the ones they're offering me. I'm going to use my own imagination. And so I'm going to just click X. Okay, so just wait for this to load. That's it. Click on the X, click here, and click this one here from top to bottom. Come here to the elements, look for a navigation menu, so nav, drag and drop it, put it here. That's perfect. And choose any kind of menu you want. I'm going to choose the footer menu, and here vertical instead of horizontal, center. And here instead of underline, I want it to be background, animation. I want it to grow so that when you click on it, it grows. And then here, let's add some other interesting stuff here so you can see that this grows, which is good animation. So let me go back to the style, change the color of the text to completely black, change the typography, make it maybe 20. And instead of semi-bold, let's make it just normal. Now here you can add a horizontal padding, like so. You can add vertical padding to make them closer together. I'm going to do it just a little bit. And we can add some border radius. Now border radius will affect only the animation. So if I click here and add 20, have a look at what it will give us. I'm just gonna add a 10. I think it's good. And that's it. So I'm gonna click publish, save and close, but we're not done yet. I'm gonna click on settings here, and here, instead of this width, we can change the width. Actually make it smaller, make it bigger. So I'm gonna make it maybe 304. Okay, leave it like that. Now here, instead of fit to content, we're gonna say fit to screen. And content position, we want it to be at the top, center, and bottom. So we have multiple choices. Let's make it at the top here. And position it at the right-hand side, vertically, the bottom. Well, the center is better. Center is always better. Now you can add an entrance animation. Now I'm going to add a fade in right, or not know which way is right. So fade in from the left is better. So fade in left, exit animation, fade in right, and animation duration 1.2 seconds. That's cool. I'm going to update and save and close. So now that we have created our menu, all that I have to do is to go back here, right? And I can click on this button, and I want you to do the same. Click on the button, go to content here, and click on link, but click on dynamic tags. Scroll down, look for pop-up, and then click here and look for your pop-up. So I'm going to come here, menu, and look for menu pop-up. Menu pop-up 3, this is the one, and that's it. Update. So now the menu is operational. And if I go and visualize this, let me just show you how this will look like. Let's just remove everything for now. Click preview changes. Now, let's see. This will look awesome, by the way. Now I'm going to click here on my image, click this, and let's make this smaller because, like I said, the menu here on the side does not appear on desktop. We have to make this smaller. So let's make it as a tablet view like this, and if you click, you can see the menu will go from here to here. Now we have a toggle bar, which is bad. Now we can solve that issue, so I'm going to just solve it later. Now here's the menu, click. You can see that it shows, but still we have this issue. We can solve that. I can go back here, and let's go to templates. To solve the issue of the menu, we're going to have to remove the toggle bar from the menu. It should be deactivated. Go to templates, pop-ups. Let's click on pop-up number 3 here. Menu pop-up 3, edit. Normally we should edit with Elementor, not any edit. So I'm going to edit with Elementor. And we're going to have to remove that toggle. Click. And here, let's scroll down to see where that option is. Now here, content with boxed, additional options. Click on style here. Now here we have the background overlay, background, all that is interesting. And here we have position, transform. All right, so I found where the source of the problem is. Here on content, make sure that you click this element, click the element. And here, instead of hamburger, none. We don't want any toggle bar. Toggle bar, toggle button, none. Update. Save and close. Come back here. Preview. And now it should solve the issue. And I think that this is already optimized for mobile, so you don't have to worry about it being optimized for mobile. But first of all, let's do this. If I click, that's it. It solves the issue. We have our menu. Looks pretty awesome. It's available both on mobile and on tablet. And you can see that it doesn't really look that bad. Now we have an optimization that we can do on mobile, which is, if you can see down here on mobile, that the logo kind of gets cramped up. So let's see what's the source of this issue. Go to responsive mode here. Right, so click on responsive mode, mobile view, and let's see why this is cramped up. Now we can see why. Now here, I'm going to click advanced, click this one again. Right, so I have to make sure that I click it well. I can use the navigator. The second container on the list is the one. And you can see here that we have a pretty big margin. If we make that smaller, maybe let's try with minus 30. Now that's across the board. I'm going to unlink values together. Minus maybe minus 60, let's see. Minus 120. I think it just has to do with the margin. Yeah, so minus 120, but you can still see that there is some more optimizations to do here. Let's try with minus 140. That's cool, but the menu kind of gets cramped up in here. So what we can do here, we can click on this. Right, so here, if I take this navigation menu, container, this is the container, the second container. I'm going to add less, minus 140 here, maybe minus 100, minus 140. That's the container. Let's go to the second container here. Now we have a bottom margin of 150, unlink the values, and this solved the issue. So now it is optimized for mobile. Let me click on this here, put it here at the center, or maybe just right hand side, update. And so if I go now and I look at this from a mobile perspective again, first of all, I have to refresh the page. This should be fully optimized for mobile, no question. Right, so there's a problem here. Well, just unclick, preview the changes. Sometimes errors might happen. This is web development, and let's just make this like so. And you can see that we solved the issue of the logo. Now the logo appears. You click here on the menu, it shows up. Tablet is fully optimized, and the other one is also optimized. So that's it for this particular tutorial. You've learned now how to use the Elementor Flexbox container to create a good-looking website that you can sell cars on. So please give me a shout out in the comments section if you need any more tutorials about stuff like this, and I'll be happy to serve. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.